What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of 90 Day Fiance Happily Ever After, Season 8, Episode 15, Jack and the Visa Talk. So let's get into Michael and Angela. So they're still fighting over the phone because Angela had taken Michael's phone and she had seen all of this stuff that she considered pretty much incriminating. Basically, what she considers evidence that Michael is a scammer and he's scamming her just to get a visa. She saw that he was part of a Facebook or WhatsApp chat group with a bunch of other Nigerian men or African men, foreign men, I don't know. And the main topic of discussion in that chat group was finding American women to con into marrying you so that you can get a visa to the United States. So that's her version of what she saw on his phone. And so when they get together to have a conversation, he denies it all. He gets really upset and he tries to get his phone back. And I think he did get his phone back. He actually had his phone in his hand, and Angela was trying to tell the people around them, I don't know if the producer, security guard people, I don't know who, trying to tell the people around him to get the phone out of his hand and give it back to her because she considers it her property just because, she bought it for him. But she bought it for him as a gift. And so it's not her property, it's his property, and he doesn't have to give it back. So he gets really upset. He says that he is done with her. But in the midst of all of this, in the midst of all of this chaos of her trying to get the phone back and, the people trying to keep them separated, she actually was showing concern for him because she was telling the people who were holding him back, leave him alone. He's still my husband. Okay. Um, that was shocking to hear because she was so angry at him, accusing him of being a scammer, of conning her, basically alleging that he was going to take all this insurance money from her, life insurance money, after she dies, and how he's conning her into getting a visa, conning her out of her money, all of these horrible things that she was accusing him of. But when I guess she felt like the people were too rough with him, which I didn't see that they were, all of a sudden she's like, leave him alone. He's my husband. Be careful. He's still my husband. Y'all, these people are so confused. So he says he can't take it anymore. He gets his backpack and he leaves. He takes off. And we all know how this story ends. He did take some more of this from Angela because he ended up coming to the United States and living with her. But at that particular moment, he was like, I can't take any more. And he ends up stomping away. He gets an Uber to Lord knows where. So later on, or the next night, I think it's the next night, what happens, y'all? Michael comes begging back for another chance after making that big show about, I can't take it anymore from her. I'm so sick and tired of her accusing me of being a scammer. He comes begging back for another chance. So he says that he doesn't want to lose her. He tries to explain himself with all the stuff that she saw on his phone. Now he's trying to give all of these explanations of, exactly what was going on. Michael tells her that he joined this chat group, this Paradise Visa or Paradise whatever chat group with these other foreign men because it was a way for him to get information about the whole immigration process, and he just wanted to expedite this process so that him and Angela could be together faster. So he was only in this chat group because he wanted to get more information so that he can expedite the immigration process. But he was the administrator. Oh, okay, whatever. Maybe that doesn't matter that he was the administrator of the chat group. So then Angie asked about the picture of the money because she said that there was a picture of like this humongous stack of money that was wrapped up in tape or plastic or something. I thought it was a Wi-Fi box, but evidently it was actual money. And he says that when he left one country, I think when he left Nigeria to go to the Ivory Coast, I don't know, where he was leaving one place to go to another place, he had forgotten his pocket Wi-Fi. So he paid some random guy to send him the Wi-Fi pocket or the pocket Wi-Fi, and he paid this guy $8,000. Now Angela thought it was $8,000 because she asked him, where did you get $8,000 to pay this guy? And he says it wasn't $8,000, it was 8,000 naira. And so I guess the money was wrapped up. I did not understand that at all, because like, why is money being wrapped up like that? I didn't understand like why it was like, it looked like I don't know why it was wrapped up like that. So I know it's a lot of money. I don't know what 8,000 naira looks like. Evidently, it is so big that it can't fit in a bag or a pocket or a wallet or anything. And it can't be sent electronically. It has to be sent in cash. And it's so much of it that it has to be wrapped up, in tape. Okay. So that's what the money was about. He was paying somebody to send him his Wi Fi pocket or his pocket Wi Fi. Then Angela asked about the picture of the older woman, with the caption or a message that said that she was looking for a husband. And Michael said that it was a joke, and it was a very expensive joke. I don't know what he meant by that, but he said it was just a joke, and that if he was present during the time that that picture of that woman was posted in the group chat, he would have deleted it. So he says it was just a joke. Then she asked about the life insurance information, because she had seen that he was Googling life insurance. I forgot how she came across that. I don't know if she came across him messaging someone talking about life insurance, or how she came across that. But his excuse was that whatever she saw, it was just an ad. He knows nothing about life insurance. He wasn't talking about life insurance. And if she saw any type of screenshot of anything explaining life insurance, that it was just an advertisement. So as I'm listening to all of this, y'all, I'm like, damn, to me, it just felt like Michael was lying. Now, Michael can be a liar, he can be scamming her for a visa, and at the same time, she can still be an extremely racist, abusive wife. All of that could exist and be true in one universe. But I felt like he was lying. I felt like some of the stuff he said did not have the ring of truth to it. So Michael says that sometimes he gets really lonely because he's away from his wife, and this whole entire process has taken so long that he ends up becoming depressed. And Angela says, well, I get lonely too, but I don't join chat groups. He needs to communicate with her. That's what she says. He needs to communicate with her whenever he's feeling like this. Don't run to some scamming chat group. Talk to your wife about whatever you're going through. So he tells her that I want to be with you. I want to take care of you. I want to be the man of your household. So evidently this buttered her up just right, because she really liked what he was saying. She tells him that, well, now it's okay for him to get into bed with her. So he gets into bed with her and they're cuddling. And, she instantly falls asleep, because emotionally and psychologically and verbally abusing your husband is very, very exhaustive. So she lays her head on his chest and she's out like a light in like 3 seconds. And he's just sitting back there holding her. And he's got this look on his face, like the cat that ate the canary. He had this look on his face like, he got her exactly where he wanted her, because now she's feeling good about him again. She wants to cuddle with him. She lets him back in the bed. So he kind of, he really had this look, like he had this look on his face, like all the pieces of his evil plan are all coming together. He looks so satisfied with himself. Sometimes I wonder if these two people really deserve each other. I understand that everybody's like, run, Michael, run, get away from Angela. But the game that they play with each other, I don't know if they could have played these kind of games with any other people. Sometimes I feel like Michael and Angela are kind of made for each other, y'all, because he looked really satisfied with himself, that he was able to lie and manipulate Angela into believing that everything was okay again, because he still has to get to Hazelhurst, Georgia. He still has to get to the United States. So the fact that she's believing him again, or the fact that, she's satisfied with whatever he told her, he kind of like was thinking, he looked like he was thinking to himself, all, the plan, the dream is not lost. My dream to come to America is still in play. Everything is still going according to plan. I have her believe in my lies. She's back on my side. She's back in my arms. So everything is going, as it should. Let's move on, y'all, to Ashley and Manuel. So When we see Ashley and Manuel, they are still arguing about money. She's wanting to know, what is it that your family is needing that I am sending them money like weekly? I gave you $1,000 last week. Now you're wanting $300 more. What do they want this money for? Manuel tells her that this is his family. And if they call him and they need the money, he doesn't ask why they need the money. He gives it because this is his family. And so he doesn't understand why she's asking all these questions. Why are you interrogating me? Like, it doesn't matter. My family needs, my family wants, I give it to them. So Manuel says that if Ashley can't do this for him, if Ashley can't provide for his family and send the money that needs to be sent to Ecuador, then he's like, I can't be with you. I have to go back to Ecuador. I can't stay here with you if you can't help my family, which is really coming across as someone who is using someone just for their money. He might love her. He might love her deeply, but his actions and his words make it seem as if he's just using her for her money. Later on, Ashley meets up with her sister. She tells her sister about, her argument with Manuel, how they're still arguing about money, and how Manuel had threatened to leave if she stopped giving money to his family. So the sister tells her that it looks like Manuel is using you, and that kind of hurt Ashley a little bit. That her sister's telling her this, but maybe it hurts because maybe there's some truth to it. I don't know. And I like Manuel, but it seems like Manuel is using her for her money. So the sister suggests calling Manuel's best friend Jonathan to get to the bottom of everything. So they call Jonathan and they're like, why is he constantly asking me to send money? He doesn't want to tell me where the money is going or what the money is for. Like, what is really going on, Jonathan? And so Jonathan says that he is sending the money to the mother of his children. And Ashley was under the impression that Manuel did not communicate with the mother of his kids at all because Manuel tells her, I don't talk to that woman. We don't talk at all. But here comes Jonathan saying that the money is going to her to take care of the kids. So Ashley's upset because this proves that him and his ex are still communicating, and she feels like Manuel has been lying to her. So I was confused because I was like, well, doesn't he have to talk to her to send her money? Don't they have to communicate for this money to be exchanged? I didn't understand. Like, how does he send money to the mother of his children for the care of his children if he doesn't talk to her? Like, I don't understand. And she didn't give any kind of suggestion of how this money should get to the mother without the two of them communicating. So Ashley and her sister are on their way back home to confront Manuel about all of this. So when she gets there, he's watching a soccer game on the laptop and she tells him to turn it off. And he's like, oh, just give me a few more minutes. And so she just slams that laptop closed. And she says that she was talking to Jonathan. No, she says that she was giving him an opportunity to be honest. And so she asked him, like, I don't know how it came about, but basically, are you talking to your ex? I heard that you were talking to your ex. And he was like, who did you hear this from, Jonathan? And they were like, well, how do you know it was Jonathan? And Manuel was like, well, that's the only person that was with me in New York. When we went to New York City, that was the only person that was with me when I sent the money. So Manuel is trying to laugh it off, making her feel like she's crazy, I guess gaslighting her. And he's like, oh, Jonathan is lying. So then Ashley says, well, call him up and ask him why he told me the things he told me if they weren't true. So then Manuel gets the phone. He calls Jonathan. He's like, why are you telling her these things? And Jonathan was like, man, just be honest with her. He wasn't going to lie for Manuel. He was like, just tell her the truth and just be honest with her. Because I think Manuel thought that him and Jonathan were going to play Ashley. And he was going to be like, why are you lying to Ashley? And then Jonathan would have been like, oh, I don't know why I told her that. Or maybe she misunderstood what I said or whatever. But Jonathan was like, look, just be honest with her. Just be honest with her. So now Ashley's even more pissed off because this confirms that Manuel has been communicating with his ex. So, like I said, I don't understand how he can send money for his children if he doesn't communicate with the ex-girlfriend or the ex-wife, whatever she is, to Manuel. I was really lost about that. Maybe I missed something. I don't know. Moving on to Jasmine and Gino. So they're back in Florida for the Miss International World pageant. So they go through, what's her name? Jasmine has to go through rehearsals, right, with the other girls, with the other contestants. And it's basically going to showcase, how they walk on stage, how they interact with the audience. So after they do their little rehearsal, the judges give feedback to the contestants on where they can improve. And they tell Jasmine that she needs to interact with the audience more and she needs to be a little bit more natural because she's kind of acting and looking stiff. So after all of that, Gino and Jasmine are sitting somewhere and they're having a conversation about how things are going so far. And Gino tells us that he's kind of worried because the other contestants are really, really good. They're like professional pageant girls. And, Jasmine looks a little bit amateurish compared to them. So Gina tells Jasmine that he had recorded the other contestants, the ones that did really well, who had really good walks. He had recorded them so that him and Jasmine can go over it so that she can pick up a few tips. Jasmine gets upset because she feels like Gino is overly criticizing her and not supporting her enough because he's telling her, you could improve here, you could improve there. And she doesn't want to hear that because she wants to hear that she's perfect, even though she's never done a pageant a day in her life. And there's a certain walk to it, there's a certain style to it that she hasn't quite mastered yet. And so she gets upset with Gino because he wasn't, praising her and glorifying her. And then she accuses him of recording these women so that he can self-pleasure himself later with the images of these women that he recorded on his phone. And I'm like, how did we get there? I mean, Jasmine is working overtime, double time, triple time to really paint this guy as a pervert when he's the one that has no interest in her sexually. We don't know if he's got interest in other women sexually. We don't know. But he has no interest in her sexually. She's the one that's constantly begging and begging and begging for sex from him. But she wants us to believe that he's the pervert when she says the most foul, most disgusting, most perverted things that I've ever heard. But she wants us to believe that he's the pervert. So she's like, oh, he's just recording those women because he's going to masturbate to them later. And I'm like, how do we get there, Jasmine? When he told you himself, I was recording these other women so we can study how they walk and how they do whatever they do on stage to help you out. So how do we get to the conclusion that he was only doing it for his own perverse reasons? Like, girl. And if he's such a pervert, then why are you with him? If you want us to believe that Gino is such a nasty, perverted old man, then why are you with him? So she starts crying because she's like, oh, you're not supporting me, da, da, da. And she's crying. And it's like, girl, he's very insecure with himself because he can't get rid of that hat. Now you're upset that this insecure person is making you feel more insecure about yourself. I just don't know what to say. I mean, Jasmine, I don't know what to say. I don't know what's going on here. But evidently, Jasmine, you're just laying down the foundation for you leaving him or for you cheating on him so that you can justify to us later why you cheated on him because he wasn't supportive and he was perverted and he was overly critical with you and so on and so forth. That's what I think was really going on here. You're just setting up the stage for your exit out of life. Moving on to Patrick and Thais. So after John calls Thais's friend a slut in Portuguese, and after the friend throws this drink on John, she throws her drink on John. The friends walk out, right? Because the girl feels like she's been heavily disrespected by John, so she gets up and she leaves. So Thais comes back to the table with John and Patrick. And, she's like, how could you do that? How could you call my friend that? And John was like, I was defending myself because this woman was accusing me of things that I'm not doing, like saying that I'm trying to get your husband, my brother, to cheat on you. And I've never done that a day in my life. I'm not that kind of a person. I would never try to get Patrick to cheat on you. And she's accusing me of all these horrible things. Hell yeah, I called her a slut. And so then Patrick defends his brother and he tells Thais, ever since she sat down, your friend was constantly berating my brother and saying bad things about him and talking really negatively about him and towards him and accusing him of all kinds of crazy stuff. So Thais is like, I can't believe that you're defending this. Okay, but Thais, you're the one that's bad mouthing, your brother-in-law and your husband to your people, your friends and your family. And then when they want to just defend themselves, you get upset when your friends and your family start accusing them of all of these horrible things. You're the one that paints the negative picture and you don't understand why anybody would be upset because your friend was accusing him of influencing Patrick into becoming a cheater, to betray you. That your friend is like calling him, saying these things about him, and you don't want him to defend himself. Now, I don't know if he should have gone as far as calling her. I don't know what Thais expected John to do, but John was heavily offended by that. He's like, I might be a lot of things, but I'm not the kind of person who would encourage my brother to cheat on his wife. And that should have said something to you, Thais. That should have said something to, and then your friend was coming up with these conclusions from like where? Like, how can she come to this? Well, you seem like someone who would encourage him to cheat. Why would your friend say that about him? She doesn't know him from a hole in the wall, and she's going to accuse him of something so horrible. But anywho, so Thais is upset that Patrick is defending his brother. I thought Patrick did a great job in defending his brother because I think the friend was completely out of line. So that's where we end with that. That's where we end with that. Thais is out here talking crap about everybody and then wonders why people get mad when the stuff that she says comes out. When the friends are like, well, Thais said, you're the brother that did this, this, and that. And then he defends himself. And then you get upset that he defends himself and his brother defends him. Like, make it make sense, Thais. I mean, God, Thais. Girl. First of all, Thais, I'm going to need you to understand something. These two are brothers. These two are brothers. They had a difficult childhood, both of them, it seems like. They had a really difficult childhood. They had to probably rely on each other more than you'll ever know. More than you will ever know. Okay, they got daddy issues. Their mom just passed away. These people really do rely and depend on each other. And I don't know if you think that you're going to somehow destroy their relationship so you can have Patrick all to yourself. I don't know what you think is going on, Thais, but nothing is going to break their brotherly bond. And maybe the sooner you understand that, maybe you'll cut John a little bit of slack. Now, can John be annoying? Hell yeah. But I've seen John truly does. It looks like to me that he does have a good heart. Like when Thais and John were in agreement with how Patrick's father was using him and manipulating him, John was like, I side with Thais. I'm on Thais. He had no issue being on her side. But I don't think Thais could ever admit that her and John are ever on the same page about anything because she hates him that much. Moving on to Lauren and Alexi. Now, this was hard to watch. Lauren and Alexi's segment was really difficult to watch. So it is time for Alexi's dad to go back to Israel. And of course, we all know that in Israel there is a war going on. And, it's just sad. I was like fighting back tears because I got so emotional watching Alexi and his dad. So he's saying goodbye to the little grandbabies, and Alexi, you can tell he's really trying to hold back his emotion. He's trying to be, strong for his family. And, but you could tell that it was really tearing him apart to see his dad leave for Israel because nobody knows what's going on there. They don't know, what could possibly happen. And so they just got to take it day by day. And his whole family is in Israel, and he feels helpless, and he feels very much overwhelmed, and even probably a little bit of guilt because he's living in Florida, not a care in the world other than his family, while his family, they don't know what's going to happen day to day. And it was just sad. And to see Alexi saying goodbye to his dad at the airport, y'all, that was really heartbreaking. And then, I don't want to, be overly critical, but this kind of really puts things in perspective. And I understand that when Lauren wanted to get her surgery, it was way before the war broke out in Israel. But I hope it puts things in perspective on what's really, really important. Your imaginary double chin, your little pouch from giving birth to these three beautiful children that you're trying so hard to get rid of. Like, girl, none of that matters. In the long run, none of that stuff matters. It's just these people don't know if they're going to make it to the next day over there, and here you are, putting your life at risk because your body changed after being blessed enough to have three beautiful, healthy children. I'm feeling myself get angry, so let's please move on. Let us talk about Emily and Kobe. So it's the day of the wedding. First of all, before we get too deep into Emily and Kobe, do y'all remember? I think it was the first season that Emily and Kobe were on 90 Day Fiance. Like when Kobe came from Cameroon and he was staying obviously with Emily and her family. And Kobe had a friend that came to visit him at Emily's house. And they were all having dinner. I forgot the friend's name. He had a name that was like a word. I can't remember what the name was. Oh, it was and they kept making fun of his name. Oh my god, what was it? Oh my, I can't remember his name, but they kept on making fun of his name. And so anyway, they're all sitting at the dinner table, and the friend said, "Well, do y'all know that Kobe came from royalty?" And of course, Emily's ears perked up, and she was like, "Oh my god, you're from royalty?" And Kobe said, "Well, my dad, I think, is the one that's from a, I don't know, for like a, I don't know if her dad, his dad was like the chief or a king, I don't know, something about royalty." And I don't know on what scale. And he said, "Well, that's my dad. My dad's the one that's coming from royalty. And because I wasn't raised by my dad, it's got nothing to do with me." And I'm mentioning this to say that the whole time they've been in Cameroon, it looks like Kobe and his dad are pretty close. But he said that day at the dinner table that his dad is the one that has got the royal blood or something. But it didn't affect him. It had nothing to do with him because he wasn't raised by his dad, and him and his dad were not that close. So it kind of, to me, it painted the picture that him and his dad didn't have a relationship at all. Like, they were very distant from each other. But this whole entire time they've been in Cameroon, him and his dad look like are really close, and he's really close to his dad's side of the family. And I don't think we've seen Kobe's biological mom yet. I don't know. So it's the day of the damn wedding. Okay, so I don't know, he's worried about whether or not his friends are going to show up because his friends don't support his union with Emily, whatever. There's not much to say here other than it was beautiful. Okay, it was a very beautiful wedding. I thought Emily looked really nice. I thought she looked beautiful. It was just a beautiful, I don't know what else to say. It was a beautiful wedding, and their segment ended when Valerie did show up, and he was about to make a speech, and so Emily and Kobe were really worried about what he's going to say. I'm pretty sure he's not going to say anything controversial at their wedding. He has enough sense for that. So I'm not too worried about whatever the hell Valerie's going to have to say. But the wedding was nice. It was really beautiful, and it's nice to see a different culture, how they do things, what their tradition is, and their practices that they follow. I loved every minute of Emily and Kobe's wedding. So moving on to Rob and Sophie. So once again, nothing to see here, folks. Nothing at all to see here. Rob and Sophie are arguing again, arguing about some damn granola bars. And he's talking about how, and he didn't even bring it up. I think the mother brought it up because Sophie was upstairs getting her stuff ready because she's about to move out. And so excuse me, what's his name? Rob is talking to his mother-in-law, and she tells him, "You weren't even taking care of Sophie." He was like, "What do you mean I wasn't taking care of Sophie?" And the mother-in-law says, "Because sometimes she would call me saying that she had nothing to eat." Sometimes she would call me and tell me that she had nothing to eat. And so, which is bizarre because Sophie comes from money, so they say. Sophie comes from money. I'm not understanding. Why don't you like DoorDash some meals? I'm not understanding. You don't, so you come from money, but you have access to nothing. Like, what's going on? You can't even feed yourself. I don't know what's happening here because the whole time they've been telling us Sophie comes from money. Sophie comes from money because Rob's issue is that Sophie and her mom are like elitist. They, criticize him and talk down to him because he was living in that crappy whatever he was living in LA, or didn't even have a bathroom inside the the apartment. You have to go across the courtyard to use the bathroom. And so they're like, "What the hell's going on here?" And Rob was getting upset, like, "Don't judge me because y'all have never been at the bottom. Y'all have never been at the bottom like me." And his whole thing was that Sophie is privileged and spoiled and pampered. So why is Sophie starving? You don't have access to your money in the UK where you can't Uber a meal. You can't convert some euros into dollars and not Uber, DoorDash you a meal. Like, I'm not understanding why you are living on granola bars. So they're arguing about granola bars. You know, he's talking about how that was the only thing he had to eat for breakfast before he went to work, and she would eat the whole damn box of granola bars. And I'm looking at this, and I'm like, if y'all are arguing about granola bars, it's time to get a divorce. This is not healthy. This is not. No, get a divorce. If we're sitting up here arguing about who ate the last granola bar, get a divorce and end it. So she's on her way out, and you know, she does her little girl pouty face, which I cannot stand. And so she's outside by the car, her suitcases are packed. Don't you have anything to say to me? And he's like, I love you. Anyways, let's thank you so much for joining me, y'all. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video if you like this content. Subscribe to my channel if you want, and I will definitely talk to you later.